little video today. I wanted to show you about my preparation for the blanks after I've cut them. Now this is some oak here, oak burrs, and it is unstabilised. So these woods are a little bit more fragile than the stabilised ones. This is stabilised. You can hear the difference there. This is unstabilised, not as solid at all. And even for scraping it, that is pretty solid. It gives it like a hard plastic coating. So that's stabilised, and this is unstabilised, which is what these are. So I just wanted to show you what I do with these blanks. First off, I coat them. I've just cut them down to the sizes that I needed before sanding, and then I just use a little bit of CA and I go over this softer parts of the wood here. This just soaks in and helps stiffen the wood up a little bit, ready for turning. This is what I used to do before I sold blanks, and I used to make my own blanks for turning. This is what I used to do. So obviously now I sell them, I try to offer that bit of extra with the blanks that I sell. I just would like them to just be a little bit better than, or a little bit more work put in than just cutting them up. So there's lots of voids in this one here as well, but I'm going to tell you about that in a second. So I just basically go over them all at the soft bits, and if there's any cracks, this is just pound shop glue, but actually these ones weren't that good, but I just use cheap CA glue or super glue, and I just go into any voids just to make sure it's all coated, and this will help with the next stage. I go back over when it soaks in, just make sure that it's going deep into that wood there, and I do this on all four sides of the blank. Just takes a couple of minutes in between. I'll come back when I've fully coated all of these and they're dry, ready for the next stage. Okay, so that's it. Just put some CA on it, and it already feels more solid. I can't scrape that soft bits now. So the next part that I do now is I use the blue dyes that I cast with, obviously, to do the initial outer work on them. But if you're at home, all you need is like makeup colours. You can buy these on Etsy, or you can go down your local Boots or whatever pound shop and pick up a colour to match. I just use the cheap pound shop 2-part epoxy, and it actually turns lovely at that, because if you get blowouts with these as well, you can use this to repair the blowout. So it might be right back to the tube, but you can actually fill this with colour at the tube and then put your dye in, and it'll match. I mean, you can mix colours. If you specifically want a colour, just get back to me and I'll send the colours out for you. So get some gloves. Okay, it just started raining outside, so I've had to move indoors. So I'm just on the floor of the shed here because I already started mixing this. So I just mix the 2-part epoxy up, add a little bit of colour to it. And then all I do basically is drizzle it into these holes that are on here. Now sometimes there's big voids, so I fill those with it, but most of the time it's just cosmetic, this. And you know, when you get inside, you can either fill it with clear CA, or, you know, if you're like myself, you'll use a colour. To mask. You don't have to be too particular. This is a 5-minute dry, one, and then after that point I actually sand and finish them off, so I'm not too worried about whether it looks too tidy at this point. Now sometimes after the first fill it'll sink down and I have to go over with the second one. In all honesty, it's not that often, but you know, it'd be the same if I've got the pen on the lathe. I would, the pen was on the lathe, then I would do the first fill, leave it to harden, and then see if it needs a second one. And then, you know, when you're on the lathe, obviously you're just turning down with the tools after. So some folk might ask, why do I use unstabilised oak? Well, the reason I mean I would have made for myself unstabilised oak. That's why. And I'm not a very good pen turner or excellent in that field at all, but I've always managed to make it work. And I still sell unstabilised because it's cheaper than stabilised, because there's obviously a lot more work goes into stabilising a piece of wood, and you know, then there's a 24 hours and there's leaving it and then there's a drying it, so there's a lot more processes to that, so consequently it costs a little bit more for you at your end. So the reason I still do unstabilised is just to keep the cost down. So I'll go around and fill up all the crevices on this, and then I'll give them a sand off, and we'll come back and I'll show you then what I do to finish off. Okay, so that's them all done. Now I've gone away and I've sanded them and done a bit of shaping. They still look pretty rough at this second, but now is for finishing them. So that people can see what the colours look like, basically. I sand them and shape them. They've got a slightly rounded corner, the newer ones that I do now. It just make them feel nicer in the hand. So let's have a look, see what they look like. So this one's finished there. I'm having to spray inside because it's raining. This was some green ones that I was doing at the same time, but that wood is stabilised, so actually I had a couple of voids, that was it, to fill in, but I didn't need to use CA with any of that. So I just use a cellulose lacquer there. So this is how the blanks are finished, and this is how they look when I sell them. So I give a couple of coats of this and then I get them photographed later. So I shall post those photographs of these done. I'll post photographs of the 3 sets that I've done today just for you to see. Melie Burr doesn't tend to have anything done to it, and neither does a stabilised oak or elm. But unstabilised, more so the oak, has all this work done on it. So anyway, I hope that was a little bit of an insight into how the blanks get from, you know, the large blocks that you see down to this and finished. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks very much for watching.